I know. I know. I know. Yeah.
But anyway, this is not for that.
Yeah. So this is not the homeless period project, or
Yes, it is a
it
whole
is, but it's
period.
not the
It's
school
going to do
project.
a lot of stuff besides.
Besides the school. Okay.
Shannon goes through to some of these nonprofits that serve women.
Mhm.
So that's what we do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we're also like includes the whole ministries. We always collect that.
Mhm.
And children's books for our home free library.
Mhm.
So if you have leftover, don't buy them, but if you have leftover children's books that you want to pass on,
Mhm.
you're welcome to donate those.
15
Oh,
seconds.
yeah.
It was 15 seconds.
Yes. Other people have already donated.
Yeah.
How are you
Save
doing?
for grandchildren one of these days.
I know.
Save them.
Yeah.
How are your
So
kids?
what time is it?
It is 3 o'clock.
I bet you're going to have some hiking
I
or
have to
something.
put so I just.
Maybe next weekend.
Maybe next weekend. Wonderful.
Hey, Scott.
I'm not just teasing you. Yeah. Well, I know I have nice masks, and then I lose them, so they just go back to sleep.
Hey, Scott.
Well, no, mine never get a chance to wear out. I lose them. So all of a sudden I can't find it. It's not on my gear stick anymore. Oh, well,
I gotta
I
go
can
sit
pay.
down.
Hey, Hannah. Hi, how are you, baby?
Andrew, you'll give me a signal, right? Okay, yeah, I know, but you'll give me a signal.
So when you start playing your introductory music, then that's when I go.
I think so. Are you right after me? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna play it 2 times through.
Okay. I'm so excited for y'all and your property and everything.
Thank you. We're heading over there today to mark off some stuff for the environmental health people to come look at for the septic system. So yeah, it's starting to happen.
Yeah, it is exciting. That's a long project, but there's a lot to look forward to.
Yes.
I bet your children are excited.
Oh my gosh, yeah. He's gonna do gardening stuff. We just got an apple tree in the mail
I saw
yesterday.
that, yeah.
Yeah.
I know I read about your apple trees.
This is dirt. This is dirt.
So you got a Granny Smith and a Chris, is that right? Yeah. Good deal. Oh, that is exciting. Yeah. Yeah. I hope that goes well. Yeah. Yeah, just staying busy. Uh, well, I'm working at United Way, and so I'm not wanting as many clients, but so but it's picking up now. It always does in the spring. So yeah, so it's just popping up, but it's fun because all the other work I do is um, head work, and so I'm at the computer. If I'm working, I'm sitting at the computer all day. So it's fun every now and again to bring dogs, and it's a physical thing, and I get to bond with a new puppy, and well, do that kind of stuff, yeah, I think it's time, yeah. So, when I can.
Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears. Ancient Mother, I hear you calling. Ancient Mother, I hear your song. Ancient Mother, I feel your laughter. Ancient Mother, I taste your tears.
Good morning, everybody. So glad to see you all here this morning. That was so lovely. I was just going to settle on back into the sun. And oh, wait, she's done. I got to get up. Okay. So good morning, everybody. My name is Janice Tuck, and I serve on the Board of Trustees at the Unitarian Universalist Church this year. Thank you so much for joining us today. It is wonderful to see all of you here in person, and we are so grateful to also be gathered with everyone who is joining us online virtually. So welcome. We are a strong congregation doing powerful things in the world. That we can gather this way in these multiple formats is a testament to that. So thank you all, and thank you to the AV team who makes these wonderful things happen. Weather permitting, we will continue to offer in-person outdoor services on the first and third Sundays in March, April, and May. And those dates are, of course, today, March the 7th, the 21st, April the 4th and the 18th, May the 2nd and the 16th. And all these services will also be live streamed. In the case of inclement weather, it will just divert back to live stream only. And of course, we will follow all public health protocols to keep everyone safe. Bring a chair, wear a mask, and social distance. This will be a wonderful way to celebrate the arrival of spring. Thank you, everyone who's worked so hard to make this possible. Now, allow me to share a couple of adult enrichment activities in the life of our church. On Wednesday evenings, 7 to 8:30, now through March 17th, we are watching the video series, A Long Strange Trip, A History of Unitarian Universalism. This series presents a history of liberal religion beginning with the early Christian era, followed by the development of Unitarian and Universalist faiths through the merger of the two faiths to the present. Each week we watch 1 hour video followed by 30 minutes discussion. Join us. Email AE, A as in apple, E as in egg, AE@uucs.org with your request to join our Wednesday evening Long Strange Trip series. AE@uucs.org. Moving on, coming this month, we are sharing a worship entitled Don't Fear the Reaper, an exploration of modern death. Presented by Gary Snipes and Lisa Mowry, this presentation will provide clear and simple recommendations to realize a good health when our time has come. To realize a good death when our time has come, and to be able to support others in their dying process. An opportunity for dialogue will be an important part of this course, so that you can all learn from each other. This 5-part workshop will take place Wednesdays from 12 to 1 p.m. via Zoom, beginning on March 17th through April the 21st. Finally, we enjoyed a moving presentation of the history of the South Side last Sunday with the Honorable Brenda Lee Price. In her presentation, she mentioned the sale of calendars representing this history to benefit the South Side Heritage and Preservation Committee. Is Ruth Stanton here? There she is, way in the back. Okay, so our very own Ruth Stanton has these calendars on sale today. The cost is $25, and she's right back there by the table. So we will make these available through spring when we gather in person. Please buy one to support the vital work of preserving the rich history of the neighborhood of which we are privileged to be a part. What an amazing congregation this is, especially in times like these. We need each other. Thank you for being a congregation of care. Thank you for being a part of this congregation today. Welcome. And I was supposed to tell you, Brandon is now going to talk to y'all about stewardship.
Well, my name is Brandon Carter. I'm the Stewardship Council Chair here at UCS, and I'm truly proud that our fundraising efforts over these last few months, kind of starting in November, has provided a way not only for us to raise funds for our programs here, but to also allow our members and friends to connect with each other as we're delivering items and attending meetings, to organize events, and to volunteer to help pull these things off. And I've got a couple of things to share with you as an update on some things that are coming down the road to continue allowing you an opportunity to give generously and to participate in these events and to connect with each other. So mark your calendar. We actually have started planning now and set the date for our annual auction, which is typically in November, but we've had to bump that to the spring. So mark your calendars for April the 18th. We're actually having a live outdoor service just like we are today on April the 18th. And after that service, starting at 12:30, we are going to have our annual auction event live here on the grounds. And this year, our auction event is actually going to be broken into kind of two pieces because of COVID and still trying to follow some of the safety precautions and guidelines. Things are still going to be a little bit different than what we're typically accustomed to with the annual auction. So there's going to be broken into two parts. The first part is actually an online eBay-style bidding platform that's actually going to happen on the Friday and Saturday before the live auction event. I sent out an email on Friday to all members and friends on our email list. I gave some more information about that, about how you can donate items to that, but there will be a online portion that will be open Friday and Saturday. You can go online. There will be an opening bid, and you can submit your bids, and others can go on and overbid you, and you can kind of go back and forth for 2 days to bid for those items, and then just before midnight on that Saturday, those items will close. And will lead up to our live auction here on the 18th on that Sunday right after the service. Would like to invite everybody that attends that to feel free to bring a picnic meal with you. We're going to kind of eat socially distanced here on the ground with you and your family and whoever's in your bubble. If you would like to not have to prepare food that morning, we do have our wonderful auction team and hospitality team that are going to be creating gourmet lunch bags that you can purchase as part of this event to help us raise some additional funds as well. And so you can sign up for those beforehand and pay for those at the actual event. And you can find out more information about how to sign up for the meals as well as donating items for the actual auction. Just go to uucs.org/auction to find out all the information on that. And if you've got questions after the service today, you can see my wonderful wife, Robin, and she can help answer questions about the auction. And just briefly, our next coffee house event is coming up on March the 27th. We had one of those a few months back. It was a huge success and a wonderful time. And so this event will have a collection of music by our very own UCS members and friends that have kind of been pre-recorded and will live stream for this event. We are taking donations for that, but we do encourage everyone as you are able to attend that event. And you can go to uucs.org/fundraising and click on the First Fridays link to find out more information about the coffee house event, and the live link for that coffee house event will be published on that site as well. And the very last thing is the annual fund drive, which is going on right now. And I'd like to proudly announce that so far we have raised intent of giving so far for the next fiscal year $214,000 so far. $214,000. That is a huge step towards our goal and gets us 90% of the way to our goal amount for this next year and creating the fiscal budget that will start in July. And so with your help, we can make it that last 10%. Usually the last 10% is kind of the toughest to get, so we need your help. If you haven't filled out one of those intent of giving cards yet, you can still do that. Just go to uucs.org/pledge to fill it out online. And I also have some of those forms here with me today. If you would like to fill one of those out, just see me after the service. Thank you.
That's my fault. Everything goes well until I come on. Yeah, Jinx. Jinx, I'm so glad you're here today. Thank you. I'm glad you keep letting me be. Good morning, everybody. It's wonderful to see you. It's wonderful to see you all here in person who are here. And I want to express gratitude for those who are joining us online, whether you're watching right now or watching across the week. I just want to say thank you to everybody for what you're making happen here, for being here. This month we are talking about the divine feminine. For some of us, that is a deep spiritual reality, the center of our spiritual practice. For others of us, it may be an image or an idea, a concept, and we can work with all of that. But whatever the divine feminine is to each of us, part of what the divine feminine is an invitation. An invitation for us to connect with each other and to care for each other when so many things would keep us from connecting and caring. In a way, that's kind of the practice of the divine feminine. To care so deeply that nothing can keep us from reaching out to each other and connecting with each other. So when we do these services that are hybrid, it's wonderful that we can do them, but there's a built-in danger that we make people feel left out or second place, or that we forget the vastness of the network that we're a part of. So I want to ask us right now just to take a moment to be here together, to just breathe. If you're here in this space, to feel the ground and the sun and the breeze, the chill of the early spring. And if you're at home, to feel the warmth of your home and the comfort of it. But to stop and feel that connection, even if it just seems imaginary to you. Bridge the gap of the in-person and the virtual space and feel the network of our community. Whether we are members or friends or visitors, no matter where we see ourselves in this community, feel yourself a part, feel that connection. And now I want to ask you to reach even further. One of our core principles is the interconnectedness of all existence. And perhaps, as with every era of being, certainly in this one, We know that we have siblings close at hand and half a world away that are struggling to live, that face great duress. Think of pro-democracy movements in Myanmar, in Hong Kong, in Uganda, right here in our own country, and so many other places that come to mind. Reach out with your mind and your heart, reach out in your spirit, wherever you go across this world, and connect with our fellow beings, our siblings. Let no obstacle impede our connection. We are in this world together. And what one of us does affects all of us. This morning, let us choose to care across all of these distances. To create a community of care that knows no distance, in which every one of us belongs. Now, speaking of the divine feminine, today is my wife's birthday. Yes. I went to bed late last night, not because I was getting ready for this service. This service was forgotten. My wife went to bed and my children sprang into action, stringing up lights through our house, putting up banners, bringing out stuffed animals to decorate, setting an entire scene to welcome her this morning. And finally, when I got them to bed and wrapped up last things for myself, I slept for a few hours. And then I got up early this morning to get ready for today. And you know what happened. I got about 15 minutes into my preparation, and suddenly, there they were, ready to go, getting everything else ready, setting out the cake, getting breakfast ready, cooking, all of it for a joyful morning before we even arrive here today. So, for my part, I want to wish a happy birthday to the goddess. She is. And whoever the goddess is in your life, may you know that same joyful devotion, pouring yourself out late into the night and before daybreak because you love her. May we also love. Welcome today.
This is a reading from Jann Aldredge-Clanton from The Call of Holy Beauty. Holy beauty beckons through our rush of motion and noise, whispering through the gentle spring breeze, calling us to stop and notice. Divine beauty shouts through flaming rose sunsets, singing through purple and yellow fields of glistening wildflowers, and we still do not notice. Beauty shines and sings through all creation, for those with eyes to see the holiness in every blade of grass, and ears to hear the music in the smallest insect's voice. Static may interrupt and threaten to overwhelm, but the music overcomes, and the truth plays on in purest strains. Thoughtless hands may mar and scar, but the splendor shines through, and the freshness blooms again. Holy beauty calls us to join her in giving birth, to come alive to the creative spirit within us, to bring forth beauty in all we touch. Holy beauty calls us to notice, to nurture, to claim the fullness of our creative power, to co-create with her a world beyond imagining. Now is the time in our service where we remind ourselves of the promise that we have made to ourselves, to one another, and to the world. While we are not a congregation that follows a creed, we do have a strong and deep commitment and devotion to this promise, our covenant. It's in your flyer, and it is also in the link below the service, if you need the words. Please read with me. We are a people of faith and hope. Together we covenant to strive to become our better selves, to honor both the critical mind and the generous heart, to prove that diversity need not mean divisiveness, and to respond to systems of violence and oppression with the power of a love beyond belief. And now, it's so fun. We get to actually, some of us get to walk up here and actually put a stone or a shell in our bowl. This is our tradition where we honor in concrete symbolism the ways that we are an intertwined community, where we realize that all that unfolds for each of us in our individual worlds ripples out and impacts us as a whole. So please, I invite everyone who is here to please come forward to drop a shell or a stone or both in the bowl to symbolize whatever it is that you need to give to the community, whether it be a sorrow, a joy, a question. It doesn't matter. And if you're at home and are unable to physically be here and do this with us, please move into your heart and share with us whatever it is you need to share, because we will feel it somewhere inside ourselves.
Mary
I can be happy to. So I'm to do the offertory at the same time. All right, so that people can do that, because we have a basket up here where the people that are present can put their gifts. So when you come to do your stone or your shell, if you have something to leave, please do so. This week, and next week, we are doing our Share of the Plate with the International Women's Convocation. They are an organization that partners with different groups all over the world to provide services to aid women in whatever they need aid with. They've currently partnered in Texas to aid women and their children that are applying for asylum, that are in detention applying for asylum, is what they're doing here. They will get half of all the loose gifts left today, and all of the, my mind won't tell me the word. Designated. Thank you, Robin. All of the designated gifts. And if you are at home, please go to uucs.org and you can leave a gift for them there. And thank you for all everyone does to support this community. It's living, it's breathing. It needs our love, our attention, our effort, and our resources. Thank you.
May I be filled with loving kindness. May I be well. May I be filled with loving kindness. May
Good morning. So we thought we would take a moment before we did the loving kindness meditation and talk a little bit about a tattoo that I have. I know you really can't see it that well, but it's Kuan Yin. And Kuan Yin, by a lot of standards, is considered a goddess. But the reason I'm bringing her up is because not all goddesses are goddesses like we think of in the Greek pantheon, where they just materialized at the beginning of creation. Some goddesses started as humble human beings, doing the right thing for the right people, giving themselves, and some of them become what are called bodhisattvas. And those are people that have chosen that even though they could reach enlightenment and they could ascend, it gives them the opportunity to stay and help those on earth that are still suffering. So Kuan Yin is technically a bodhisattva, but you will see her listed also as a goddess. And I just want you to know that we're each goddesses in our own right, whether we're male or female, and it doesn't matter what our gender is. We are all goddesses inside. And I hope that you can bring and touch that today and this month as we're going to the Divine Feminine. So we're going to begin by doing a loving kindness meditation. So if you would like, you can close your eyes, get comfortable. And we will begin by expressing our love for ourselves. May you be free of suffering. May you be at peace. May you know the joy of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all others. May you know love. We then express love for those for whom we care. May you be free of suffering. May you be at peace. May you know the joy of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all others. May you know love. We express love for those we find difficult in small ways and in large. May you be free of suffering. May you be at peace. May you know the joy of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all others. May you know love. And finally, we express love for all beings. May you be free of suffering. May you be at peace. May you know the joy of your own true nature. May you be healed. May you be a source of healing for all others. And may you know love. Thank you.
I want to say thank you to everybody that's made this service possible. To do this takes a lot of planning and preparation over many months, long conversations and discerning public health trends, what would be safe so that we can keep each other safe, how we're all doing emotionally and mentally and what we need, and then all the technical work that goes into it, not to speak of the content. I wonder if we can give a round of applause to everybody. You know, I called an audible on the sideline for Mary today, and she grappled with that very beautifully and carried it off wonderfully. And I can promise you it's not the only time that I've done that to folks today. And they all have gotten us to this point where I'm still the cause of static. So let's give a round of applause to everybody that's worked so hard for this. Brandon talked with us about stewardship and generosity. That the giving in this church is so great in so many ways. Financial is one of the innumerable, remarkable ways that people pour themselves out. So grateful. Join me in silence. Let's share silence together. Before you open your eyes, I want to invite you to just feel the beauty of this day all around us and pervading us. Feel the warmth of the sun. The cool of the March breeze. Ground beneath our feet that holds us. It's so soft and receiving and firm and uplifting all at once. A living and nurturing paradox. The soft fragrance of spring opening around us, coming to us on the air. The faintest sliver of sister moon just to our south now, still in the sky. Sounds of life, the wind in the trees, the birds on the wind, our fellow human beings moving through their days. Feel the beauty and the welcome, the sacredness in something so ordinary. Just our lives. Just the profound beauty of our lives woven together. This is the divine feminine. This beauty and this nurture and this life. Around us and filling us. The life inside of us and the life that we are connected to. This is the presence of the divine feminine in our ordinary lives, receiving us and supporting us, sustaining us. All of us, all beings. We use old language to speak of her sometimes. We speak of Mother Nature, Mother Earth, Gaia. She has many names. All those names are trying to name just this that we are living right now. Right here in this grove of pecan trees. Right here in this beautiful and scarred neighborhood. She's right here with us. And she has always been here. And I want to make that point very firmly today as we start these meditations. We are going to work with many images of the divine feminine this month. Gail and Mary have already introduced many to us. Aaron has sung to us many of them. But I want to offer you a sequence of images today that are pointed for a reason. And I trust you know by now, after our time together, that it does not matter to me whether these are images that are part of your spirituality or belief. It's really wonderful for me if they are not. But they are present in our culture. So I want to ask your forbearance with me so that I can make this point with you for all of our sakes. I want to draw on images that are deep within the Judeo-Christian tradition, but that tradition has largely forgotten. This is not where we'll stop. And this isn't to convince any of us of anything, but to show us how present she is. Because we live in such a patriarchal culture, one that has willingly forgotten her presence. In the second verse of the entire Bible, the second sentence of the book of Genesis, at the moment when creation begins, the word that is used for the divine presence hovering over the unformed darkness, the origin of creation in that myth, in that story, is ruah, a feminine noun for the spirit of the divine, the breath of the divine. And in ancient Christian and medieval tradition, that spirit that formed the world at creation, that created this, according to that story, is known as the wisdom of the divine, Sophia in Greek, another female word. part of the divine present from the very origins of creation, before time even began. And throughout those scriptures that have been used to do so much harm, to create such systems of domination, not just systems of patriarchy, but interrelated systems, interconnected systems of heteronormativity and homophobia and transphobia and racism and militarism. All throughout those stories still are woven in images of the feminine divine, even in that tradition. What is the divine feminine? Who is this so present that upholds us every day? A presence woven through our stories and our songs, but that we have forgotten. Who is this? She has many names and many forms, many stories and many images. She shows herself around the world and through time. One way to speak of her is that the feminine divine is the expression of divinity in female form. In all the ways that she manifests over and over again, the expression of what is deepest and best in the universe, whatever that is, in female form. And we can ask why. Why would the divine express itself in female form? But even the question shows our bias and the conditioning of our minds. The reason is because the female form is goodness itself in the cosmos. That's all. Yes, it's a contradiction to patriarchal culture. Yes, the female form can move and express in ways that other gendered forms cannot. Yes, there are things that women can do that no one else can do and on which all of our life depends. All of that is true and good and a part of this. But there is no qualification that is needed. The reason the divine expresses itself in female form across culture and throughout time, woven throughout our stories and our images and hymns, is because the female form, the expression of the female in life, is good. It is good. Good in women. And these stories remind us that women in their existence are good and all that is needed, enough. And this is of paramount importance because of the constant misogynistic messages that are poured out to us through our culture, through our stories, through our institutions and our businesses and our politics. The message that we constantly receive, conditioning women and telling them how to be and how to look and how to act for men. All that damage and all that wounding, all that scarring, all that mars. These stories push back and say none of that is necessary or right. Just as women are, is good. And for those of us who are not women, as I am not, these stories of the divine feminine summon us to be quiet and to listen with humility and to honor that essential goodness, women just as women, free of the conditions imposed on them by our world. But this is not only a corrective. There's something in this for each of us, as Gail has already named. For women first, and that priority is right. Good just as you are. An essential blessing in the cosmos, without condition, without qualification. For those of us who are men, who identify as men, there's a summons here too to remember something more of ourselves, something deeply connected to the cosmos that we haven't been taught well, that we have neglected in ourselves, that we've forgotten. And the very act of giving precedence to women, of listening and listening again, that humility, doesn't that just sound like what's asked of us anyway? To just shut up and listen for once? The divine feminine asks us to give priority to women, to honor them as they are. And in so doing, when we do that, that part of ourselves that also is connected to the divine feminine, that we have not been taught and that we have forgotten, it is drawn out of us too. It emerges in us too, to discover something more, a fuller manifestation of ourselves, something we may be very uncomfortable with, but that is deeply healing to ourselves and our families, our communities, our world, when we heed it, to just shut up and listen, and to feel her emerging within us. And for those of us who move beyond the binary, who have found a calling in life that moves over these boundaries of female and male, that moves from one to the other or back again, or doesn't stop at any name but floats like a spirit over the darkness of the waters, moving. That difficult gift of your life calls all of us to the fullest expression of ourselves beyond these categories. The divine feminine, in the way that she comes, summons all of us to our essential goodness, to the more that we can be beyond the limits that we have learned in our socialization, in our conditioning, just to the goodness of existence itself, supporting and caring and nurturing life in all of its forms. All of its forms. I've said to you many times over the last 3.5 years, belief, it has its place. It's not without importance, but it is not the point. And our Protestant patriarchal culture, lost in its intellect, lost in its creedal requirements, religious and otherwise, it has demanded belief and lost the way. Belief is not the point. What matters is to live this, to live it. And so I want to say to you again, in this new context, it doesn't matter if you believe that there's such thing as the divine feminine. It's okay for that not to be your belief. It doesn't even matter if you don't find meaning in the concept or expression of divinity itself. It's okay for that not to be what works for you. But what I want to invite you to is to listen to these stories and to see these images, not as a question of belief. Do you believe this or not? That's a distraction. But as a reflection, as an image of what our life can be, a way to live. And for some of us, this is what we believe. It is a deep part of ourselves, something beyond belief because of our experience. We have known her. We have felt her. We experience her and she guides us. And the stories that you tell, the expression that you give in your life, that guides us. This month, long before this month, and long after it. For those of us who are less certain, who are doubtful, who don't find this meaningful. These are nonetheless stories and images shared by our fellow human beings over millennia, over centuries, spanning a far greater reach of geography and time. We're talking about tens of thousands of years of working with the divine feminine, of the goddess in her many forms, long predating our much more recent spiritual and religious and philosophical systems that hold sway today. And so even if this isn't where we find meaning, this is a form of human expression from which we can learn. A gift offered to us by our ancestors and our siblings that can teach us something about human life, human community. For all of us, this is an invitation to stories, to a way of living, transcendent of belief, moving through and beyond all of our gender categories, and something that promises us transformation in our world today. Think about how different it is to stop on a bright spring morning, to just feel the earth beneath our feet and the moon moving with us in our orbit through the cosmos. Think about how many days out of the week we don't do that because we are off to the busyness and the demands of our competitive world. To stop and feel our existence is to do something different. You can feel it in our bodies. It transforms us. It recenters us. It regrounds us and refreshes us and readies us for all the work that we need to do in the world. That's what she offers us. A different kind of energy and focus. A way to change life in this world. And the evidence for this is in our very lives. I've been so moved over the last few months in preparing for this month, as I shared gradually with one of you and then another and then with groups of you, that we would be speaking about this month, thinking about this together, meditating on the divine feminine together. How many of you spoke about what it has meant to you in your life to encounter the divine feminine? For one in this form, for another in this form, for another to carry her image on your body, for another to carry her image on your body in another way. But over and over again, the experiences and encounters that you've had with her in one or many of her forms, and the way that has reoriented your life to find in it power and meaning, direction, and work that makes a difference in the world. It has been amazing to hear these stories. And I want to invite all of you, as we go through this month, if you have those stories of your encounters with the divine feminine, however you understand her, I would dearly love to hear them. Already this month I've sat on this lawn and listened to many of you speak. Listen to you share these stories. The power of her is evident in the power of you. And that is what she invites us to. The transformation of our lives for the transformation of our world. We're going to hear a song in just a moment. It's a song that exemplifies the power that she offers us to change the way we think and the way that we live. It's a song by the Indigo Girls. They sang it first now 3 decades ago. And it persists as a song of great power. What they've done in this song is to take a story from the Judeo-Christian scriptures and completely reverse it. It's a story of people who transgress the sanctum and who pay for it with their lives. It's a story of people who live outside the bounds of piety and patriarchal rules and who suffer grievously for it. But what these two women do is to turn the story upside down on its head. They claim what the story calls profane as sacred within themselves, a fire that burns within them that is holy. They base this not on someone else's religious tradition or someone else's interpretation, but at their own experience of the divine within themselves, in their blood, in their darkness, in their inner light, a fire that burns within them. And when they do this, they claim a third deep feminine image in the Judeo-Christian tradition. We've already spoken about the breath of the Spirit of the divine, Ruah. And we've spoken about the wisdom of the divine, Chokmah in Hebrew, another Hebrew noun, Sophia in the Greek, a Hebrew noun. This third image that these two women claim in themselves, not based on Scripture, but based on their lived experience of her within them, is the very divine glory itself, the luminous darkness of God, or of the goddess, the Shekinah, a third feminine image at the heart of this tradition. When these two women claim that within themselves, that they feel a fire burning within themselves, it takes all that is wounding and violent through sexism and patriarchy, through heteronormativity and homophobia, through physical and emotional and spiritual and religious and societal violence. It takes all of it and transforms it into a welcome to us all. Claim the fire that is free of all of those constraints, a fire that burns in the heart, a fire that is the original goodness, the original blessing of our very existence,